Hello and welcome to week 2 of the Week in Review League Racing Series. For today, we've got the latest rounds of BBS, AEC and NRC to cover. But before that, we've got to get into the huge news that broke just this week. On Thursday evening, it was announced by the owner of Team Valor, B Hill, that the team would be closing. The Valor boss announced that Valor would be closing due to personal reasons and went on to thank everyone that had been a member of the team during its time on the scene. This, of course, left Valor's roster liable to be snapped up by teams around, with Josh Gilly being the first to find a new home at GSR. Allison was then announced to have moved to BRT, while Flo and Halo made a return to their old outfits at FGE. Sunday then saw Stokey and JT move over to Shazoo. As it stands, the rest of Valor's roster has no current home, but it surely won't be long until such talented drivers and managers are snapped up by teams around. With Valor's closure, slots in both BBS and AEC open up for teams to take. Shazoo quickly filled Valor's slot in BBS and will look to put up a strong performance in tonight's round 3 at Miami, while the vacated AEC slot is yet to be filled. As for some other key transfers of the week, AERT's Lowe swapped home at AERTO for BRT, following a recent switch to no assists, while Anthony, who is an impressed for EXR in the AEC miniseries, finds a new home at Shazoo, with the Greek expanding Shazoo's previously quite narrow roster. After a thrilling season opener in Bahrain, BBS headed to Australia for round 2, and it was PSR's Sab who topped qualifying, followed by Stokey for Valor. 4 drivers were represented in the top 6, with MVR disappointing. Their highest driver, Act, only 10th.
Entire race unless a lap 1 instant, but I think we're already going on.
It's the second time we're starting. It's another restart. It's Sav who starts on pole. We're from quali order, and I think Sav gets away fairly well. There's no changeovers for the lead. I think Quantum, they're getting a nice run on Joe Murphy, who goes down a place, and they're hopping over the curbs. Is it going to be carnage this time? I think we're relatively okay. I don't think anyone has died this time around. Axe, though, is making a move there, but so is Stokey back for P2 but forces out Kai.
A now shortened race began for the second time following a restart. The front row held position in 1 and 2, while the field battled relatively cleanly behind through the first sector. The field remained close throughout the first stint, with the DRS train extending down to 14th place, while PSR were able to work together to produce a 1-2 position with Sav and Kai, before the race changed on lap 7.
Murphy now into turn 11, they're banging wheels a little bit, he's going to send it deep, almost tags the ball. Oh, but Quantum gets on the brake. Oh, Bam Racer! That's a no wing! Oh my word! Virtual safety car. Did Finbob get by there? I don't think he did. I think he stays down in P8. Wow. Sorry, M Racer. Yeah, lots of it. Oh, hesitant there from Joe Murphy.
With the VSC being brought out, many drivers took the opportunity to dive into the pit lane, including the leading PSR pair, thus splitting the traffic across the field, especially with some drivers choosing hards over the soft tyre. Those that stopped steadily made their way back through the field before chaos erupted on lap 11.
As for Magician, oh my word, what is going on?
Oh
what is going on?
What is happening?
The safety car now out, the majority of the field elected to pit, including those who already had, with the exception of Valor's Elite Risks, who led away the lap 15 restart on order tyres. Joe Murphy quickly took the lead for BRT as Elite Risk plummeted down the order, as the field tripped over themselves trying to make their way through. MVR's poor showing was compounded with a few laps remaining, when a 3-wide crash at the final corner involving both Stronks and Drobble brought out another VSC. In the end, though, it was Joe Murphy who would come home to win for BRT in
round the outside.
Oh,
my mistake!
Oh, I think kind of mistake. Bit of racing, still going side by side, third to last corner. Joe Murphy coming around the penultimate. They're still going side by side. His accent has sent it down. No, he thinks better of it, but go on board with BRT. Joe Murphy is absolutely handled brilliantly. He's coming home to take the win for BRT after the safety car restart. PSI car P2 with an incredible recovery drive.
PSR completed the podium with Kai and Saab, while Valor failed to capitalise of their impressive qualifying with the likes of Stokey and Josh Gilly. Thus, the standings look like so. The poor performance from MVR sees them last on 38 points, while second, third and fourth are separated by just 11. PSR are clear leaders on 112, and it will be interesting to see how Shazoo do when they fit into this grid tonight. For AEC then, the penultimate round headed to Sao Paulo in Brazil, and it was PSR's Sav who took pole position. Nick completed a PSR 1-2, setting a lap time exactly equal to FRT's Chelsea, who qualified third with an impressive lap for FRT. MVR were also high up in 4th and 6th, while title chasers NRX were down the order.
Stop! Stop, Russ! Stop! 5 lights on ahead of the drivers! And they're out. Sam are underway. And facts aside, Sav gets away well on the 195-metre dash to the first corner. Ahead of his teammate Nick, who goes down the inside. His teammate very accommodating there, giving him plenty of room. It's wheel to wheel momentarily, and Chelsea's around. And he's taken Bowman with him. 3 cars around with Zinity spinning after 2 or 3 corners.
The leading PSR duo got away well through the first sector, but it was a disaster for FRT's Chelsea, who spun through the Curva del Sol and collected Bowman behind. The race continued relatively without incident, with Bowman himself providing most of the action as he battled his way back through the pack. The leading PSR duo continued to break away, followed by MVR's Stonks and Anthony. As the race dragged on though, the field spread a lot with little action until a battle for the final spot on the podium.
Very slight wing damage from that incident. I'm not sure what happened, but Zinity retires in the pit lane finally. But there we go, MVR Stonks finally through on AMS Anthony. It took some time, but Liam Bowman out the move as well. He looks to the inside line, Liam Bowman. He might force Anthony.
Oh!
Anthony spun round and from that collision with Liam Bowman and Stonks.
The race finished without incident from here though, and it was PSR who came through for an easy 1-2, followed up by a Novus Racing 3-4.
The checkered flag in a moment to take PSR's 3rd victory of the AEC mini-series, but double it up and let's crown them the AEC mini-series champions here on F1 23.
As for the standings, this leaves PSR as champions with a round to spare, with NRX and MVR now locked in a battle for 2nd place. FRT meanwhile will be looking to hold off Shazoo for a top 5 finish. Also this week, on Saturday night, saw TAR's no assist tournament Big Twos return for another season with its qualifiers. These taking place at Silverstone had more than 15 teams taking part to secure one of the 8 spots alongside host TIR and BRT last season's winners. MVR qualified as fastest teams thanks to good laps from Jobble and Bowman, whilst FRD placed 2nd with 2.8s. Shazoo, who'd been expected as to be one of the faster teams, only made it through in 5th place after needing to improve on their final runs. Those teams were also joined by the likes of EXR, IRS, TGT, ETE and GSR as qualifiers for the tournament. It was NRC then that rounded out the week, and here's how the standings looked following a swathe of stewards reports after last week's round at Jeddah. TF and OP clearly getting off to impressive starts here. Q1's shock was seeing Liam Bowman knocked out in a wet first qualifying session alongside Fleddy, Stefano, Baki and Macho. With the track drying out for the 2nd session though, OP Marketos and LLR Justin both found themselves out, joined by the remaining Shazoo, MVR and FBR drivers, leaving 4 teams, PSR, TF, NRX and BRT, all with both drivers in the final session and able to use that toe down the back straight. In the end, it was PSR Sav who took pole though, leading teammate Kai, Quantum and Kian.
Light! All 5 on ahead of the drivers!
Wait, I'll invite BRT Magician. Sorry,
Oh god. And out! Sam are underway, and just like that, the race has started. It's a PSR front row lockout, and they lead 1 and 2 into the first corner, with Quantum trying to go the long way round on PSR Kai. He's squeezing down the inside at turn 2. We go on board with the Haas through turn 3. He's off out wide and onto the painted part of the track as well. Gets a little bit of a swap, yellow flags. It's Justin, and I think it's a virtual safety car which hasn't appeared on the screen. But just like that, the race is neutralised.
The race started in strange fashion, with Magician suffering desync and taking the lead off the line. Both PSR drivers started cleanly though, and a safety car was deployed after an incident behind. Racing then resumed on lap 4, with Sav leading way of PSR 1-2, with Magician dropping to 5th, giving up the positions he'd unfairly gained. A few laps later, Magician lost another place thanks to this excellent move by NRX's Rusty.
Try and get involved with this. He goes down the inside at the first corner. Magician put slightly off what line through turn 2, through turn 3. NRX Rusty the long way round. Not too often you see a move here.
What a fucking move if he gets this one done.
Into turn 4.
The first pitters, including Joe Murphy, Rusty, Bowman and Fezzo, came in at the end of lap 13 for a set of medium tyres. And 2 laps later, Kai, pitting from the lead, came in as well. But Kai was jumped by Joe Murphy. But this was not the only thing that went wrong for the PSR driver, as he picked up a penalty for speeding into the pit lane. This would hurt him heavily in the long run, as he was forced to sit in the pits, serving his penalty when the safety car was brought out for a crash by MVR's Stonks. On lap 22, racing resumed with NLR Rusi Huller, who didn't stop at the head of the field, followed by Quantum, Joe Murphy and Kai. However, another safety car was deployed immediately after, with Giron and Kian crashing. With racing resuming, Quantum quickly took the lead, whilst Rusty and Sav spun to the rear of the field. In the end, it was Quantum who would win, holding off a challenge from Kai, with Joe Murphy third from BRT.
Back straight and in towards turn 17. Kai, 4/10 now is the gap. He's not going to be close enough. 3/10, 2/10 potentially by the end of the straight. Quantum defends to the inside. This is for the race win. Quantum exiting the final corner, and NRX Quantum is going to win a quite frankly chaotic race in Miami. What a race win that is, ahead of PSR Kai, who almost retrieved what he lost earlier on for PSR, ahead of Joe Murphy.
The race saw 9 different teams finishing in the top 9 positions, only championship leaders TF missing out on a point. Well then, that rounds off everything for today's video. If you did enjoy this rundown, all support is really appreciated, and please do be sure to tune in at roughly this time next week for another. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.